shot from Curry with 0.6 of a second remaining. The brilliant shooting of Stephen Curry continues.
Back to Green, into the hands of Spurwell. Fast break down to Weber. He turns. Look up behind the back. And the step and the foul. What a play by Weber.
I've never seen a shooting display like this. Never.
37 in a quarter.
Swing that misses. Curry splits the defense behind the back. Fires a three. Oh, he puts it in. What a spectacular move. That could be the greatest move I've ever seen. Here's Curry for the record. It's good. There it is. Stephen Curry. The all-time three-point king in the NBA.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
You are in Where's Huddle with me, Bram, and with me, per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxime.
How's it going?
Maxime, fired up to announce that rejoining us after way too long, my favorite guest on this show and a long time and high-profile basketball talent guru, a draft insider who has separated herself as the best in the business after spending season after season developing more background, relationships, and experience than anyone, anywhere within the sports media landscape. The woman who told us that Wiseman to the Warriors would be a mistake months before that mistake played out. And a recent resident of Las Vegas who just spent a couple weeks hiking 100 miles across Europe, Miss Krysten Peek. What's going on, KP?
I love your intros. That's why I come back every time. Just makes me, when I'm down, I know if I come on this podcast, you're just going to bring me back up again.
Yeah,
Great.
Cool. Appreciate you saying that. And I'm going to give you credit for maybe the biggest big league text I've received in a couple of years. Here, taking us back to September, I hit her up, Maxime, quote, join us on the pod tomorrow. In response, just casual pictures of her fucking hiking in the Alps. And then here's the actual text back from ... the Alps, 5 question marks. LOL, I'm currently hiking 100 miles across France, Italy, and Switzerland. Tour de Mont Blanc. Some people choose the beach during the off season. I choose to completely kill my legs. I'll give you a little detail here, Krysten. I read this shit in my dungeon of an office in San Francisco. There was no fucking Alps behind me, so just nicely played, man. That was the trip.
It was one of those things where, like I like to prove to myself that I can still do hard things across my lifetime. I ran marathons. I ran a marathon on every continent. And then I was just like, oh, I can do this. I can do Tour de Mont Blanc like that. And so as I was doing it and the last day it starts snowing, I'm just like miserable. There was one day we did 21 miles and it was just like up this mountain, down this valley, up another mountain, across another country line. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? But would I ever do it again? No. Am I glad I did it? Sure. Great.
You just underlined both our similarity and our difference, right? So like similarity. I also occasionally like to make sure I can still do hard things. Difference. When I say hard things, I'm talking like 20 push-ups, dude, like, a handful of sit-ups. And then like I stop by and like, oh, I've still got it. I'm definitely not going on snowy hikes through the fucking Alps. So nicely played by you.
Yeah. Everyone should do it. It was great.
I'm surprised Maxime hasn't weighed in and said I've hiked.
Yes, Maxime,
this is right up. This
is right up your alley.
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, the best part about hiking in the Alps is there's like a coffee shop randomly every so often. Unbelievable. So yes, I have hiked right around Mont Blanc on a number of occasions.
So,
wow. Okay.
Right when I couldn't be more resentful that I'm the only one with a shitty camera, you guys are best friend, like mountain hiking buddies. Like I can't believe he's actually done it. This is not the intro I envisioned. I'm just telling you guys that right now.
Got to get out there, Bram. It's worth it.
I'll go there for the coffee. If nothing else, to basketball, you guys. So Krysten, we've been doing a weekly award show, and we certainly have some awards to hand out this week. But I would be crazy if I didn't take advantage of your talent evaluation and your relationships and all those things that I praised during the Open. And today, specific, it feels even more important because we've got a young player in our life that all of us are really excited about, But if I'm being honest, not many of us know anything about him, right? So Lindy Waters III, outside of knowing that the Warriors acquired him in a draft day trade, with a 52nd pick, which I've dropped casually as many times as I can over the last couple of weeks to suggest that I'm a real insider. I don't know shit else about him. So open field, Krysten, what can you tell us about Waters?
Dude, the story's incredible. So, and he's not a young kid. He's 27, first of all. And so when you look at the many ways to make an NBA roster, it's not just the one and done 5-star talent. Like, it's players like Lindy who have been crawling their way to an NBA roster, to some sort of possibility for years. Like, this is a player, he played at Norman North High School with Trae Young when Trae was a 5-star point guard getting all the accolades. Lindy was on that team. He was a year older than him. He went to Oklahoma State. He played 4 years there, only averaged about 10.5, 11 points by his senior year, went undrafted, played in a semi-pro league, tried out for the Oklahoma City Blue, and was incredible. Got picked up by OKC, played on their G League team, worked his way up to a 2-way contract. And you have to know, when you are a player and you're doing that in OKC with what they have going on there with Sam Presti, his eye to recognize talent, his eye to recognize people that are great in rotational situations, great locker room guys, to have someone basically like crawl from nothing and work their way onto the G League roster, to a 2-way contract, get some play with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and now have this opportunity with the Warriors, playing with one of the best, if not the best, 3-point shooter, best guard in NBA history, and just soaking that up and kind of excelling in that role. It's just been incredible to watch, honestly. Like, I love these stories. I love these stories.
The confidence that it takes. And so, I pulled a quote. He had a quote after the first win against the Pelicans. The Warriors just played 2 games against New Orleans, but were hit by injury, so they needed to fill minutes. The first game, Waters played very well, so well that the second game he started. And so we were already kind of in love with him, but now, we're just getting far more exposure. And after that first win, he offered this quote, "I got a strap on me. I just wake up and I can shoot it no matter if I'm playing or not." When I read it, so I already illustrated ignorance. I didn't know he was 27. Mm-hmm. When I read it, what struck out to me, I knew he could shoot. I didn't know he had this kind of confidence. The idea that you would have that level of fucking confidence 6 years after you've graduated, and you've had 6 seasons worth of people not recognizing your talent, and you are still coming out and saying, "Oh, I'm always ready. Of course, I got a strap on me." That's what an unbelievable personality. How unusual is this, Krysten, for someone to go this length of time?
It's incredibly unusual. I want to say the shelf life for most of these players is probably like 25, where you see them. Like, we saw Jalen Hood-Schifino, who was the 16th pick in the draft. The Lakers aren't picking up his rookie option. He's going to be a free agent next year. The kid is 20 years old, 21 years old. You know what I mean? And so it is not only extremely hard to make an NBA roster, but to have longevity and be productive as an NBA player. And that late at 27, especially in this day and age of the league, is incredible. And like, when you texted me, I want to talk about Lindy Waters, I was like, oh, I love his story. I love him. I'm so excited.
I'm just glad that when I text you that, you didn't text back, "You mean from the bottom of the sea?" Because I happen to be deep sea diving today, and who knows if I'll be able to give you any takes about that. Did you, when he was at Oklahoma State or playing with Trae Young, was NBA like a thing? Like, was anybody thinking that at some point Lindy Waters would be telling an NBA reporter, "Yeah, I got a strap on me"?
Nope, absolutely not. Like I said, he played 4 years at Oklahoma State. He averaged only 10.5 points per game. So if you are a shooter and you're only averaging 11 points a game, whatever, like, you're not an NBA prospect. So for him to continue and prove everyone wrong has been incredible.
This adds detail for me. Stupid story, and I hope I land the plane here. We'll find out. But my first year of law school, there was a classmate I had who was older. It was her second career, and she was probably close to 30, 28, 29, something like that. And I remember as we got close to the finals that year in law school, the tests, everybody was freaking out. The pressure really got to people, and you could see them cracking in the fucking library. Well, I could tell you who it didn't hit at all. It was her. And it's because she had experienced shit. You know, like, yeah, she was tense, but she had to live life. And so like these finals didn't amount to the kind of stress that we thought it was. Translating that to Lindy Waters, he seemed perfectly ready to start on that second game and seemed perfectly ready to come in off the bench. And it didn't feel like any of the pressure that might impact somebody younger was impacting him. And now that I know he's 27, that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. You know, this guy has persevered through way more shit than a single start against the Pelicans. And so, yeah, it's not gonna phase him at all. Maxime, could you make it that long? How long would you keep up a dream? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's a dream, so it means something, but 3 years, 5 years, I mean, like at some point when it's not playing out, you know, and I'm sure your family is telling you, you know, this isn't really necessarily going, and you're so smart, you've got a degree, you know, like whatever else is saying there. How far do you think you'd make it?
Yeah, I mean, in the past 6 years, I've had and lost at least 6 different dreams. So I don't know that I could stick to one, not to mention the road to obviously NBA contracts are big money, but everything, I mean, the G League does not pay much at all. You're looking at sort of like a typical kind of like lower middle class job income. That's a lot, especially if you have a degree, if you see that you could sort of diversify into another field and do a lot better. The commitment to yourself, because if you work at a career, you know, in law, say, and you don't pass the bar, there's still room for you in the field. You could figure out other ways to do things. You could sort of pivot and use those skills. Like, if you haven't succeeded in the NBA, you're not going to get hired into like doing entertainment stuff all that much. It's a very difficult path, and he had to really commit to it. It's no. The point is, no. I would have given up really quick, because that's a very scary thing to commit to for that long.
When he was playing well, KP, he was a shooter. I mean, the offense we're seeing now is that, and in case you didn't watch the 2 Pelicans games, because I would imagine you probably had other things on your plate.
I mean, I didn't have internet until yesterday, so no.
then there you go. Internet would probably be a prerequisite to watch any of these highlights. He's shooting, but it's not just that. It's not just open jump shots that he's hitting, but he's creating a little bit of space for himself, and he's using his height, because he's pretty big for the guard position, to get that shot off. Who was he at Oklahoma State? I mean, at 10 points per game, just complimentary. He's just taking wide open shots. I mean, what did his game look like?
He was a forgettable prospect. Like, of course, you saw the length and you saw the size, and that was promising. But how many 6'6", 2-3 guards do you see in college? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That are 4-year players, and so you kind of start writing them off like. He had an injury where he was sidelined his freshman year. We didn't even see him. And then his sophomore, junior, and senior year, it was just kind of like minimal minutes. And you have to remember, like, this was also during the COVID year with Cade Cunningham. Everybody was all about Cade Cunningham, who eventually went number 1 to the Detroit Pistons. And so he just kind of took a back seat to that. So, like, for him to rise above the ashes, so to speak, and be who he is now at 27 is like incredible. I'm so proud of him.
When you texted and said, like, oh, I can't wait to tell you the story, I thought it'd be like some tongue-in-cheek funny thing. You know, like, I don't know, he left his pants on the team bus one day. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know it was going to be a story of like perseverance and like Horatio Alger pulling yourself up from your bootstraps kind of deal. Man, I think that Lindy Waters just became even more popular in Dub Nation. Before I take us to the award show, I'm going to give you a chance to do a quick victory lap. So another embarrassing. I maybe more than once texted KP that Chet Holmgren was not a unicorn and would not be that good. Now here we are, and he started the season better than Victor Wembanyama and seems to be like the next iteration of real superstar. Like all these things that I was wrong about. So go ahead. If you'd like to point out that you were right, you can. Or if you want to be classy, you can do that too. I mean, up to you.
I mean, I was right. Of course I was right. I've seen Chet play 50 times before he was even an NBA draft prospect. I mean, I have his dad's number in my cell phone. Like, of course I'm right. Like, I talked to this kid when COVID was going on and we quote unquote weren't allowed to be in the gym. I interviewed him with a mask on my face, and I had to prove that I was like COVID negative before I stuck a microphone in his face. So Yes, I was right about Chet Holmgren.
This is like reliving our conversations because it would be stuff like that. Like KP would be like, look, I've watched him play 1,000 times, and I'd write back, too skinny. And she'd be like, oh, no. I've seen this guy persevere over everything. I've seen him guard top 100. I'm like, all these things. I'm like, nope, 2 period, skinny period. And then, no, here I am, fucking super wrong. Give us a quick primer. How talented is this next draft class? You know, we've already heard the capture the flag thing. And then I recently had a friend tell me that Cooper Flagg is not the guaranteed number one, that we're overemphasizing him. So
Okay.
What are we looking at?
Listen, I just need to say something about this Cooper Flagg. Oh, he might not, he shouldn't be, maybe he's not the best player in this draft class. All right. Yes, I recognize Ace Bailey. I recognize Dylan Harper. I recognize VJ Edgecombe. I recognize all of those players. But this is like the Luka draft when we were looking at an 18-year-old kid who was dominating the Euro League, and we're like, oh, well, but this, and this. And then Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton went before him. Like,
Okay.
let's not
I have to make a personal
it.
request. Okay. If you can address this specifically to a guy named Mac, because I know he loves you. You know he loves you, okay? And he was the guy who was giving me shit. And like he looks up, he follows you on Twitter. I mean, he really values your takes. So if you wouldn't mind telling Mac specific why he was wrong about Cooper Flagg, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, Mac, let me tell you, like, this is another kid I've known since he was 14, mouthful of braces. Okay. I've seen him win at every single level. This is a player last year in January where people were like, oh, Ace Bailey just had 40 and 20. Oh my God. He's the number one player in high school. And then Cooper came out at Hoop Hall Classic and completely dominated. There's a reason why Mount Verde Academy went undefeated and won the national championship for the first time ever. That's never happened. And it wasn't because they had Asa Newell and Rob Wright and Liam McNeely shooting threes. No, it was because of Cooper Flagg. He is the glue guy. He is a cornerstone for an NBA franchise. He's someone you can build around. And when you look at the Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets, I want to say the Detroit Pistons, there's teams that are tanking for him for a reason, and he's that good. Just watch him at Duke. I don't want to hear about what he did against Arizona State. That was a quiet night. Con Knuppel, 5 threes. He let his teammates eat. He is a winner, and he's great. Let's not overthink this.
I'd like just to add, fuck you, Mac. I mean, no other analysis. I think we've already knocked that out, but it feels like a good place to put that right here. And then how deep does the class go? I mean, so yes, capture the flag up top, but
this is going to be one of the deepest and most talented draft classes in the last 20 years.
How deep? I mean, as far as like difference makers in your mind, 5, 3. I mean, how big are we going here?
9.
Oh shit!
It's gonna be good. And there's a reason why, like Texas and Ohio State are coming here Monday. I'll go to their shoot around. I'll go to their game. Then I'm flying to Baylor. I'm going to sit down with VJ Edgecombe. Then I'm going to drive down to Austin. I'm going to sit down with Trey Johnson. Then I'll fly to Atlanta, go say Asa Newell, go to Champions Classic. Then I'll go to Alabama and Auburn. Like, it's going to be nonstop. I'm about to cover the shit out of this draft class, no matter if I'm working for myself or somebody else. Like, this draft matters. It matters to a lot of teams.
At the risk of showing my bias, obviously I will be following that work. And anyone listening, if you'd like to know about that draft class or really any fucking talent, check out KP's work because she's phenomenal at what she does, which leads us to our awards show. So, Krysten, this is our second, I guess you can't say annual. What's the word for weekly? Second weekly show? Yeah, but there's got to be like some other thing that we can throw in there that says it's ongoing. But we've got a series.
Ooh, and a graphic.
And a graphic, and we're super fancy. Wait till we move down here. The graphic's going to get even more fancy. And for those who would like to be fancy with us, join us on YouTube. And you can see it right now. Our first award is the Jesus Shuttlesworth Award. It goes to the player or person who stood out the most in the past week. I've got one to hand out, but I'm happy to go second. Maxime, you got one here?
Well, I guess we have to take Lindy Waters off the table because we just had an extensive conversation about him. So I mean,
Hand it
I
to
think
him.
he deserves a nod here,
Sure.
and maybe should get the award. But just to toss in somebody different, I want to give it to Gary Payton because this dude balls out in the first half. We've already talked about him. I mean, balls out, I should say. How do you do that on the defensive end? But completely stymies CJ McCollum. And then Steve Kerr notices that that's not what we need anymore. You know, the tides have turned. And so takes him out and he doesn't even play in the second half. I mean, the dude continues to be a great five the whole time. And I think I'm giving this award to Gary Payton as a representative of just the great vibes that are happening on this team right now. It seems everybody is there to support each other. You're even hearing as Kuminga is getting tossed into trade talks, he's coming with the right attitude of like, look, this is what coach needs. He's taking me off the bench. It's a very different vibe from last year. You're seeing Draymond in his post-game presser, really upbeat, taking ownership, saying, hey, I didn't play great last year, and this year I want to do a much better job and show up the right way for the team. And having his actions speak louder than those words. You can tell that he's doing everything that he can to make this whole bench, to make this whole team feel like a cohesive unit. And so I'm giving it to Gary Payton because to me, he's the embodiment of that attitude. But it's really great to see this Warriors team gelling in such a profound way.
He's fun. He's gritty. I always like GP2. Some runner-ups for me before I award it out. Buddy Hield again. I mean, he's been on fire, lights out. And then Draymond Green for the defensive island he threw Zion on. That was just an old school defensive effort. And watching Zion go from angry to reserved by the end of the game, no longer complaining, just understanding like, nope, I'm getting owned tonight and there's nothing else to say, was really fucking satisfying. But I'm going to go off script, and I'm going to give this to Jerry Stackhouse, the current assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors and our defensive coordinator. And so I actually spoke to Sam Gordon, the friend of the podcast and the beat writer for the San Francisco Chronicle and the Warriors covered, and he gave me some of these behind-the-scene tips. And what he's pointed out was that Stackhouse is, in fact, running their defense and is also handing out individual grades to players after every game based on their defense. And it made the paper recently here. Quote, Golden State 4-1 is also deploying more timely double teams and stunts at the behest of assistant coach Stackhouse, who oversees his defense, providing players the day after game grades of their defensive performance. But here's a quote from Green, which I really liked. Draymond said, quote, he's given guys a level of confidence on the defensive end that we haven't had, but more importantly, a level of accountability that we haven't had over the last couple of years. That's all he talks about. You don't say a word about the offensive end, only defense, and he's on guys every single play. The Warriors' success, like if you look at their championships throughout, the through line is not their three-point shooting. And the through line is not their offensive explosions. The through line is not even Steph Curry's brilliance. It's when they win championships, they play defense on a string. They are accountable. They are long. They get in the fucking passing lanes. They bother people. And we're seeing that again. We're seeing that this year. And so, early, we haven't beaten any powerhouses yet, but the defense is back. And if Draymond Green would like to give that credit to Jerry Stackhouse, guess who else would? Me. So Jerry Stackhouse, the Jesus Shuttlesworth award recipient for this week from me. KP, anyone in your life deserve this for you?
Yeah, I mean, but mine isn't, like I said, I just got internet yesterday. I haven't been keeping up with the NBA. I mean, I've been keeping up with it, but not like watching it the way I usually do. But mine has to go to Kevin Young, the new head coach at BYU, and what he's building there. I went to practice a few times. And I mean, anybody who follows recruiting at all, you're thinking, oh, BYU, what? No, listen, they're about to land the number one player in high school, AJ DeBonsa. They rolled four coaches deep to the Border League here in Las Vegas. And AJ and his family have been on campus 3 times. He took his official visit 3 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure it's a done deal. And his approach is like, it's no longer good enough for us just to make the NCAA tournament. We have the resources, the Mormon Church, to provide NIL opportunities to these players, and we're going to dip into those resources and get dudes. And he's going to get dudes. They have one this year, Yegor Demin, who's a 6'9" guard who is going to wreak havoc in the Big 12, originally from Russia, played in Spain, and he is awesome. Projected lottery pick. So shout out to BYU, shout out to Kevin Young, former assistant coach for the Phoenix Suns, bringing in that NBA culture and mentality to college basketball. I'm here for it.
Couple follow-ups. One, do not award anything to NBA players. From here on, I'm serious. I want you off the NBA. We will handle NBA. You handle everything else.
Great.
Okay. All right. Two, I've learned a lot already during this podcast. You know, I love your takes. You know, my favorite part so far is the voice that you give the people who don't agree with you, like the Ace Bailey people or the BYU. I've met some of those people and they sound exactly like that. Mac, I am talking about you to our next award. The Chris Mills on your team bus award for asshole of the week. Yeah, there he is. Thankfully, we've covered this story with KP, so she knows where it comes from. And for those who want to know who Chris Mills is, go ahead and listen to last week's episode. I got a big winner for this one. I'm going to screw up their last name, but that's okay. It's a dual winner. It is Omri Amrani and Oscar Leone, who apparently are the people who designed Dwayne Wade statue, which is fucking terrible. If we've got an image of that, let's go ahead and pop it up here. I don't know if you've seen this yet, KP. Have you? Have you seen any pictures of it? I mean, there's like so many sins with this statue, but maybe the biggest is like one of the things that kind of marks D Wade. He is a very good-looking dude, like young, handsome guy. And then they came out with this monstrosity. I don't know who that. I've heard people say it looks like Lawrence Fishburne after 5 wars. I can see that. The thing that struck out to me about this isn't how bad it's done. It's that, is the statue industry the only one that's not consistently improving? Like fucking video games, dude, are like getting better and better. The players look exactly like it. We have self-driving cars now. Shit, New York is about to have a flying taxi that you can get in. But meanwhile, the fucking statue industry can't come up with a face that looks like D Wade. Why didn't we just use a 3D printer? It would have worked much better. So my award goes to these asshats. I don't know why this happened. But I do have a question. Okay. Question number 1 to you, KP. So Dwayne Wade comes to the reveal. He's there with his son. You know, we've seen the footage. He wasn't super happy with it and shouldn't be. If you were him, would you behind the scenes ask Miami to change it? You know, like, because here's what I'm going to do. If I'm him, I don't want to go to the fucking arena anymore. You know, like every time I pass it, I'm going to be real like, there it is, you know, and it's going to bother me every time. And you fast forward 20, 30 years when his face is out of the lexicon, when people don't remember who D Wade is, they'll pass that and be like, oh my God, like, I guess we used to have a monster who played for us who was really good, but totally out of control. So that's my first question. Would you guys ask him to change it? And can you? Like, is that a thing?
Absolutely. And I would like commission the change myself. I would be like, I will pay for it. Like, this is awful. Like, I'm sure, and there's a reason why if you look on his social media, his son's social media, anybody in his family, there's no photos of them in front of the statue. It's all with like Dwayne Wade Boulevard, like where his like street is or whatever. And it's like, that's embarrassing, man. Like, I'm double downing. I'm double downing, Bram. I'm with you on that. That is bad.
100%. Dude, if I like that happened right before Halloween. My costume, if I'm D Wade, I'd be the statue and have like the most fucked up face you've ever seen. Like, oh, you guys all know exactly who I am. But I'm not done with follow-up questions. I got one more.
The memes were great. The memes. Did you see like the big 3 meme where?
Oh, yes. I saw one that had his wedding photo with Gabrielle Union that substituted his face in. It's just like, oh my God. It's like that's but that's why I think that really underlines why I'd want it to be changed. You know, like D Wade is now, no one blames him, you know, but it's this collateral damage is going to continue from here on out. That's going to be the go-to, this statue sucks ass reference from here on out. So of course I'd want to take it down. But here's the second question. Keep the mic, KP. Would you prefer have a statue that looks terrible, but it has your name. It's out in front of a major sporting, you know, stadium. Like you are memorialized forever, or no statue at all. Those are your only 2 options. Something terrible or nothing.
No statue at all. We live in the internet age of like,
I can look it up.
Hello, you're seeing it on TikTok and you're seeing this younger generation reinvigorate, you know, the Menendez trial and that's becoming popular again. There's no statue of the Menendez brothers, right? So it's like Dwayne Wade and his legacy doesn't need a horrible statue in front of the freaking arena in Miami. No statue at all. Always go with no statue at all.
How do you do that, Maxine? I mean, like real, like somebody comes to you, whatever your job, someone. It was like, good news, we want to memorialize you forever. Bad news, we're really bad at making statues. So like, I can tell you that like, this is going to come out. It's not going to look anything like you, but it'll have your name. What would you do? Which button would you press?
I mean, there's no guarantee that the internet is still going to exist in 100 years, but that statue still will, right? I mean, they say that you die twice, the day you die and then the day the last person says your name. So that statue is going to make sure that my name stays in the zeitgeist for much longer. Well,
shit, in related news, the internet doesn't exist at KP's house over the last 3 days. So like, I'm not sure that we can really bank on the internet being anywhere. God, I am so vain that it's hard for me, like both answers. Vain enough where would I like to have my name carved in stone anywhere for like long periods of time? Fuck yes, that sounds awesome. But also vain where like, is it carved in a stone that makes me look like an asshat? Because I don't know if like I don't know if I really want that. I guess if I'm D Wade, the suggestion I'd give is like, let's go Michelangelo. Like keep the statue, just knock off the head. Like just have it be the body. You can keep everything else. You don't have to redo it. That's fine. But like, let's or knock off the face. Have it just be a smooth face, and everyone can just assume that it was D-Wade and it looked just like me. Something like that. There's got to be a solution here. Another argument we've had, Krysten. So statue that looks like you, nice statue. Okay, statue versus retired jersey. If you had to pick one, which way do you go?
Retired jersey. I mean, I already have a twin. I don't need like a freaking statue that looks like me. I already have a duplicate of me in the world. I don't need a statue. So I'll take the jersey.
I think we view twins in different ways. I don't think they're just statues, dude. Like, I don't know if people like sees them out there and thinks to themselves, oh, there's a walking statue of KP. That is demonstrably the wrong call. I can take that for sure. There are way more jerseys than there are statues. And so they gave me a good statue. Oh yeah. I'm going statue 10 times out of 10. All right, Maxime, your asshole of the week.
I mean, at this point, I don't think that there's anybody else that we can give it to, right? This is it. And the problem that I have ultimately with the way that the statue is built is that they're now saying that there's no possible way they can change it. Like, what are we talking about?
Head. Just cut off the head. Like, what do you mean? Is it like an indestructible material? Is it made of like kryptonite or something? They could definitely change it.
And here's the thing. I don't know if you guys have heard of like Michelangelo, but my understanding is that we figured out how to make statues a fucking long time ago, right? And like, look, at a certain point, if it's not gonna look like if I'm Dwayne Wade and they're making a statue of me, and it doesn't look like me, at least make me look good, like he just looks bad, right? Like try, where is the art in this? And how does this guy is the one who made both of the Kobe statues that were unveiled recently. And I mean, this person keeps on getting hired. What are we doing? So maybe the asshole of the week is the NBA at large for continuing to hire the same person. It's like, what are we doing?
I love the idea. We fast forward for God knows what reason, someone's making a statue of me. I'm out there. Here's the big reveal. They take it off and it looks just like Leonardo DiCaprio. And I'm like, yes, like nothing like me, but like, oh, you've kicked up the looks. Like, I'm like, no problem. Let's get a few of those out there. All right. To our next award. This one is the Where's Waldo Award for something that we spotted and stuck out and seemed valuable. So I got one here. I went to the game against the Pelicans, the first game that they won. And with about maybe 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Warriors were cruising towards a victory. It was still in the balance a little bit. And it was a young roster out there. Steph was hurt. We had Waters. We had a young group that was headlined maybe by Hield, but Hield doesn't have the experience because it's first year, right? And there was a pause in the action, not a timeout. And Draymond, who had both knees completely wrapped and ended up coming back in the game, but looked like he might be out of it for the evening, went up to the half line and called in an impromptu huddle. All the players went over. Steve Kerr did not. Steph Curry did not. Nobody else from the Warriors bench did. And for about 30, 45 seconds, Draymond tutored them. And you could tell the respect that they had for him, what it meant to go over there and receive this instruction for him. And in short, what it showed is who Draymond is to this fucking franchise. He doesn't the view from outside, I don't think ever really takes into account his IQ or what he means to these guys or what he can point out, the coaching future he could have if he wanted to do it. And so it really stuck out to me and just underlines how much I appreciate having him on the floor. So there's my Waldo. What do you guys got?
You want me to go? So
Yeah.
literally, when you said it, you're like, something you spotted this week. Let me tell you something, okay?
Oh, let's go.
Ooh.
I just moved to the fucking desert. I'm sorry, I did. I'm in Vegas. And I have this beautiful home. It's a remodel, like it was a flip, right? So there's nothing I have to do to it, nothing. Great backyard, great pool. I paid a company $350 to do a scorpion test to make sure my house wasn't on top of a scorpion colony. So they come out and they do this like light test at like 9:00 at night. And if you are on top of a colony, there's about 50 to 100 little scorpions that scatter when you shine this light. And so luckily the $350 was well spent. I'm not on top of a scorpion colony. Great. Gary's not going to get stung while going out to the bathroom. Great. I am moving into my house and I have a ton of boxes and I have a ton of crap. And it's like 10:00 at night and I take a box down to the garage because I'm going to be taking out to the recycling, and I move it. I put it down and I move something in my garage and I see this little scorpion.
Whoa.
No.
And I was like, I'm done.
No.
And that's
Yes.
literally, yeah.
So
It
are
was
you moving?
tiny. It was tiny, but I'm like, I called like a pest control company the next day. I was like, get your ass out here and spray the shit out of
Fuck
my
yes.
house.
I would have called the Pentagon. I don't take scorpions super well.
It was not good. But that's something I spotted this week. Yes.
Just-
KP does live with scorpions.
Dude, yeah, I mean, the idea that that's a thing that you have to do when you live out there is, have you had your scorpion test done yet? Like, I didn't know that was a service that was offered. I am very intimidated by almost all insects, and are scorpions insects? I don't even know what scorpions are.
Well, my brother like put the fear of God in me when I was in Utah, and I was like, please be proud of me. I just killed a giant spider. And he's like, oh, you're exchanging. Sorry, that's my new computer letting me know. But he's like, I was like, I just killed a giant spider. Be proud of me. He's like, oh, well, you have to deal with scorpions when you move to Vegas. And I'm like, and he is the one that put the fear of scorpions in my head. And then of course, 5 days in owning my house, I see a little guy just.
I'm good on any of those things.
Vegas is great. Vegas is wonderful.
It sounds like it. And your house sounds amazing. I will answer that story with another random one for me. Freshman year college, on our dorm room, there was, I forget her name. I want to say Tina. Go ahead and bleep that. And Tina had an iguana. She brought an iguana to the dorms freshman year. And there was kind of a weird stir. Like, are you allowed to have large lizards? Like what's that look like? And so Tina, to show the rest of the dorm that it was perfectly safe, brought the iguana out, laid on the floor, and let the iguana walk across her chest and across her face. And so it gets across her chest, and then it gets across her face, and the iguana's nail got stuck right here in her eye.
Oh, no.
Remember Tina starting to go like, I need help. She was probably going to say help. I say probably because I got the fuck out of there. I went right back in the room. I was pissed, dude. I wasn't watching the iguana demonstration anymore. I was like, this is clearly not safe. This is on you. And so out I go. And I would have been equally valuable to you had I been in there and you saw that scorpion. I would have been out immediately. So my apologies, but that's who I am.
I hate. Do you see my face turn? I'm getting flushed because I'm so it's making me nervous. I can't with scorpions. I can't with it. Let's move on. I regret now bringing it up. Please move on.
Maxime, help us. What have you spotted?
All right. Well, this sort of turned into a thing that took on a life of its own, in that there were then supercuts of the moment when Steph tried his behind the back pass to thinking that he'd relocated Klay Thompson, and that was the implication. So, now it's become this whole thing. I have my own feelings about it. I mean, all of the cuts of Clay, they're in transition. The thing with Kuminga, this was in a set play. Kuminga moved after he was already there. So I think it was a different miscommunication. I know that there's an implication that, the vibes aren't there, the chemistry, and of course we miss Clay. But to me, what I noticed, and this was not in all of those supercuts, was afterwards, both Curry and then separately Kuminga were like pretty kind of angsty about it, right? They almost had the same facial expression between the two of them. And that really stuck out to me. It was this thing where it was like, I know we're all playing, like I just said earlier, everybody's playing much better with the media. And at the same time, rumors are swirling right now. It feels like the two names that the league are talking about at the top of the trade block are Giannis Antetokounmpo and then Jonathan Kuminga. And I'm not trying to say that I'm trying to put those two names together or anything, but it was disconcerting to see that, not just from Steph, but also from Jonathan Kuminga. It didn't feel right to me.
I'm going to work backwards, but let me get the Antetokounmpo thought off my chest quickly. Or, that they're 1-4. And so everyone's kind of been saying if it blows up, that's maybe someone they'd go after. Obviously, I'm interested in Giannis. Obviously, I think that OKC is in a much better spot to land than the Warriors are, but we can explore that down the line. All right, picking up what you were saying. One, KP, do you see this fucking video shit that Maxine's doing? Like the little things at the bottom? It's almost contemporaneous, dude. So incredible, fantastic work from you. 2 real questions. We are now 3 weeks into the season? How long does it have to go? Like if we're still talking about Clay week, what is it desperate now? Like, are we doing too much? Like if I'm still bringing up Klay Thompson takes and it's week 6, is it like, are we doing too much and it's time to just move on? Like, what's your advice on this, Krysten? How much time do we have before, okay, that's enough, to talk about somebody else?
He was the guy in the backcourt next to the guy of your franchise. Like, I don't think there's a time limit. Like, you guys are going to feel it when he has great games, in Dallas, and you're going to be like, oh, I miss those days.
But it's not like an X kind of thing, like if it's like 16 months down the line and I'm like, did you see how well her life's going right now? Like, and I'm still talking about my ex. I feel like someone would tell you like, dude, move on. Like you can't, it's gone too far now. Like we have unlimited runway with Clay. It's okay to just keep doing this.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a fan. I follow players, so I don't care if they jump from team to team. So, and I'm kind of a bitch. So like,
okay,
don't ask me.
You're the
I'd
right
be like,
person to ask this.
Move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
You bastard. Here's one. I wasn't going to ask, but I will because Maxine brought up JK. So recently, okay, Steph gets hurt. Then Wiggins is out, and we have a 2-game stretch where they have minutes to burn. And to be fair, they burned some with JK. I mean, they gave him, I think, 28 and maybe close to 30 in the second game. But also, they didn't focus on him. When I went to the game, I was positive. All right, here's their chance. Everyone else is out, and he didn't get his money, and so like, no, let's put him in the focus. Not only did they not put him in the focus, the second one, after moving JK to the bench, they then kept him on the bench and put Waters in as the starter. Right? If that's me, and that's all if it's me and I'm Kuminga, even if I got those minutes, I'm pissy. I don't like that. I don't like that they jumped me for Waters. That's ridiculous, dude. Everyone else is hurt. And you're telling me I'm this fucking big piece. So put me in. You have actually met and spoke with and spent time with Kuminga. What's his personality type? And this is a guess. I know you haven't talked to him, but like, is this bothering him? Do you think? I mean, how does this play?
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely touched on JK and just the little intricacies to his personality and just the way he approaches a game. You have to remember, this is a kid. He was the number 1 player in high school. He reclassed up. Right. He went to the G League Ignite and became a professional before NIL and everything became popular. Right. And so he's been told his entire career up into his rookie season, right, you're the guy, you're the guy, you're the guy. And then even after his rookie year, maybe it was his sophomore season, I can't remember. I saw him in Moses Moody, and I was like, what are you guys doing in the off season? And JK was like, what off season? I stay in the gym. Like that's just who he is not satisfied until he's succeeding. And so for him to be overlooked by Lindy, and mind you, Lindy's older than him.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
So this isn't like a young rook
Yeah.
coming. I mean, he's new to the team, new to the system, but that's got to sting. It's got to hurt him. And I know we're very, very early in the season, but this has to be JK's year.
Right.
Or
No, of course, right. Well, and this is all those two decisions when they decide not to start him, and then they don't necessarily focus him. Also comes right after all of his contemporaries got paid. So he just watched Jalen Green receive the golf check.
Right.
He's watching Sengun, drive his new yacht, whatever it is. And so for someone who I credit in Kerr as really understanding the intricacies in. I'm going to fuck that word up again. I'm just going to avoid it. The inner workings of a locker room. For him to have done that to a player, I think has his confidence on his shoulder right now. It felt like a mistake. So yeah, I appreciate that insight. To our last award, the Golden Dagger, which is our shot of the week. KP, I got another random one here for you. This happened in the first quarter of their last win against the Pelicans, and it was Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, had a seemingly meaningless bucket against Zion. And it was like a Kyle Anderson special. Instead of getting past anybody, he hit the brakes, slowed down this real weird way, and then got it to fall. And it wasn't the impact of that shot to the game. There was a 2-pointer early on in the ultimate win, but I'm hoping it's going to be the impact on Kyle Anderson. Because before that, we were making fun of him. He couldn't hit a fucking shot. We were shooting a bunch of air balls. After that one went down, it completely re-engaged him. He played phenomenal defense as well. He started making all those slow-mo-y shots I've seen in other contexts. And if this team is going to keep surprising people, they're going to need everyone on hand. And if that shot is what put slow-mo on hand, I'm on board. So my Golden Dagger goes to Kyle Anderson.
Nice. That's a beautiful take, especially because we were kind of roasting him a little bit for some pretty rough open threes from the corner.
Kind of. I put an over-under at 25 on his air balls on the season. So yeah, and then it turns out I apologize. We'll call it the apology dagger.
Well, this is a good reminder that everybody panicking about everything needs to chill out. We're only 5 games into this season, and that goes for other teams too. But regardless, I wanted to give this award kind of maybe because I feel a little bit bad about how hard we were just going in on Kuminga to Kuminga, and this is the assist, but he made a play I think it was against the first game against the Pelicans. He drives to the hoop. And then instead of just like bulldozing, like we all know that he's capable of doing, he kicks it out to an open Buddy Hield for the 3. And to me, there was it's like that was a great shot, right? And it in some ways was a dagger. It was like, oh my gosh, this team is performing really well, moving the ball. It felt really good all over the place. But specifically the fact that we have Kuminga being able to sort of play make even a little bit made me feel really good, and means now that they have to pay more attention to him, not just as a threat inside the key, but also to be able to dish it out. So a fantastic move all around.
Completely agree. One last award from me, and then we will say goodbye. It's a secondary winner for the Chris Mills on Your Team Bus Award. It goes to MT for not showing up for shit today. Fuck you, Marcus. Wherever you are, I hope you're not on a bus with a gun, although that would actually give you an excuse for today. So we'll all find out together when you come back on where you ultimately go. Krysten, I started this by saying you're my favorite guest. I'll end it by saying you showed why. The insight, all the stories, all the knowledge. We appreciate you. Love having you be a part of this. And I'm sure there are people who need far more KP in their lives, especially as you cover this legendary draft class. So socials, how can we keep up on your work to make sure we don't miss anything?
You can follow me on Krysten Peek or at Krysten Peek on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah. And I mean, I'll say it again, like it's a new KP. I'm about to cover the shit out of this draft class. So if you are interested in the next wave of talent coming up, the current rookie class, the high school talent coming up, like stay ready because it's gonna be a fun season, fun year.
I would say there's nobody who I turn to get better talent evaluations than KP, but that's not who you care about. Who you care about is people like Mark Cuban and other people out there who may or may not turn to KP for that exact knowledge. So, dig in when you can and as much as you can. For us, check out our YouTube page. Maxime is up to some incredible video enhancements. Hop up on YouTube, search
Look at
out
these graphics, man.
Yeah, dude, look at this. It's like cycling through. It's great. I'm gonna have to have him work on the camera on my computer, but whatever. We'll do that some other time. You can also follow us on social media everywhere. Just type in Warriors Huddle. You'll find us. And with that in mind, go Warriors. Hopefully, we'll see you twice next week.